What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to Fun Ahead TV today. This episode is a very exciting one because it's the episode where we begin the real work on this here 1999 Carrera. We're replacing timing chain guides, lifters, a lot of other stuff while we're in there. It's going to be a nice little rejuvenation restoration of this engine. Very satisfying. You're not going to want to miss it. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Pull back, drop in, and just smack the lip.
So this right here is the engine and transmission out of this 1999 Carrera. This car belongs to a customer of mine, Joey. He's a super good dude. And yes, it's an automatic transmission car. That's why we're calling this thing Tasty Tiptronic.
Oh, yum.
If you missed the last episode, I went over all of the stuff that Joey has done to this car. It's honestly, it'll blow your mind. This is like the coolest spec vehicle of all time.
I want that.
But we also dropped the engine and transmission out of this car in the last episode as well to get it ready for doing all the work that we need to do to it. Now, I also said in the last episode, do not hate on the fact that this is an automatic transmission.
Son, I don't want to hear you say bad about your mama.
I hate that I have to say that, but everyone has the right to drive a car with whatever the heck transmission they want to. Us automotive enthusiasts have to stick together. It's all love, baby. But anyway, with that out of the way, we need to go ahead and get into this thing because we have a lot of work to do. We got to start by separating the engine and transmission, which is quite a bit different of a process compared to separating a manual transmission from one of these engines. And we'll go over that in just a second here. And then we need to get this puppy up on a stand so that we can start tearing into it.
The ripping and the tearing.
So if you're all familiar with how an automatic transmission traditionally mates up with an engine, well, this is no different. Just because it's a Porsche, same. Basically, you have a torque converter that is splined into your transmission. That is then mounted to the flex plate, which is mounted to the engine, to the crankshaft. There are bolts where you have to mount that torque converter to your flex plate. So in order to separate the two, we're going to need to go ahead and loosen up all the bolts that tighten the flex plate to the torque converter. And the way you access those bolts is kind of weird if you're not familiar. There's always some kind of access plate. In the case of the M96, you access it through the hole for the starter motor. I've already gone ahead and removed the starter motor. I also removed the backmost plenum to be able to get better access to just everything because we're gonna need to work in this area right here. And what's pretty cool is, if you look at the marks on the crank pulley, there are very discrete marks showing you exactly where the bolts will be lining up with the access port. There's your bolts holding your flex plate to the torque converter. Loosen those two and then turn it 120 degrees, do the same thing. Turn it 120 degrees, do the same thing. There's a total of 6 bolts. And they're Allen head bolts. Yes, thank you Porsche for doing Allen head bolts on very relatively high torque, very difficult to access places. Great. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. It's not gonna be very exciting. I'm just gonna kind of be very tediously turning, loosening, hopefully, not stripping any bolts out. And yeah, then we can proceed on to actually removing the belt housing bolts. Alrighty, well, I just went on ahead and got Joey's engine up on the engine stand. As you can see, transmission is sitting just over there on the other side of the car. We're in position, people. We're in position to nicely start knocking out the real work on this super sick M96 engine. First things first, we gotta get the exhaust off of here because, as you can see, it literally wraps around the entire engine and is currently covering up all of the areas that we're gonna need to work on. We need full 360-degree access to this engine because we've got bolts for timing chain guides on either side. We've got to get the oil pump completely removed. And obviously, we need access entirely to both valve covers on either side of the engine. Holy cow, that was the easiest exhaust I've ever removed in my entire life. But like I said, this thing has definitely been taken apart before. So thank you to the previous guy, whoever took this thing apart, because honestly, you did a great job of putting anti-seize on just about everything because I didn't break a single bolt. That's a first. That is literally a first. Normally, you're getting the cutting wheel out within seconds of starting the removal of any given exhaust on one of these cars, and the cutting wheel is in my toolbox untouched. Unreal, unreal. However, clearly whoever did this before did have quite a fight on their hands because the cylinder heads are kind of in shambles with regards to the exhaust manifold bolts, and it wasn't their fault. It just happens. Those bolts break off, and then you need to drill them out and put helicoils in. There are 12 exhaust manifold bolts, 6 per side. I would say, I have to double check and count, but I'm pretty sure 10 out of the 12 are helicoils, maybe 9. So clearly the person who did this before spent a ton of time putting those helicoils in. That's not an easy job, especially drilling into one of these cylinder heads. That's risky business. If you drill just a little bit too far, you could potentially go into water jacket and ruin the entire cylinder head, and that's many thousands of dollars on your hands. I was taking some of those apart, just looking up at them, like I felt like that Steve Carell meme where he's like, I felt that when I was looking at these. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is not going to be fun when we go ahead and put this back together. That being said, we are going to try and do some cleaning up of some of those bolt holes if possible. All right, we are at that point where it's officially time to get cranking, yanking, and spanking. That's not something people really say. I did just go ahead and pull those power steering lines off because those cover up access to our Bank 2 timing chain tensioner. And so now we have perfect access to that, which means we have perfect access to both cylinder heads, and we can officially start taking them down. I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. I'm looking forward to just filling that entire workbench back there full of cylinder head parts. That means we can go through and analyze everything and see just what kind of carnage we're dealing with regards to those timing chain guides. I'm pretty excited to see it. Let's go ahead and do it. Well, look at that. We are almost at the halfway point. The only thing that we have left to do is remove the sump cover. That's just good practice whenever you're doing this job, because you're doing all this because you're replacing supposedly deteriorating timing chain guides, and those bits have to go somewhere. Oftentimes they end up in your oil pickup screen. So naturally, we're going to go ahead and do a sump cleaning service as well, just to be thorough.
Yum.
But that is for a little bit later. Now we have all of the parts from the cylinder heads that we have removed sitting back on my workbench. What do you say we go ahead and analyze these things and just see how much timing chain guide carnage there actually is? I'm pretty curious to see because I haven't really looked closely myself. Let's go check it out. Okay, here we are back in the workshop area of my shop. And just to give you a quick lay of the land here. Well, if it's not obvious enough, B1, B2 means bank 1, bank 2, all of the parts from the cylinder heads that we just removed. Obviously we have cams, primary timing chain guides, lifters, journal bearing caps for the cams. So before we get into looking at the timing chain guides, I do just want to show you guys a few things that are, pretty important to look at. One of those things being those journal bearing caps. I always like to look at these just to make sure that these are wearing nicely, and hopefully you can see this in the camera pretty well, but yeah, that is a nice looking mirror finish. These things are choice. This is the IMS timing chain guide tensioner. And as you can see, it's a stubby little guy, and I think it has actually failed in this down position. Now, just for reference, here is the brand new one. Here's the old one. Hold them up side by side. Yeah, as you can see, she got stubby. So something weird happened with this one internally, and it's now shorter than it's supposed to be. So it's very, very good we're swapping this out. But yeah, it was weird when I removed this. Normally these things give you a nice like pop back into your socket because they have so much spring tension inside of them. This thing did not do that at all. And I was like, that was strange. And when I pulled it out, yep, little stubby guy. What do you know? Anyway, I found that to be pretty interesting. So one failed part we're replacing. That's good. Let me just note that this is the cleanest engine that I think I've ever seen. So clearly whoever had this engine out previously did a really good job of cleaning up these valve covers and just the case halves in general, because this thing is immaculate. The last thing I want to check out before we look at the timing chain guides are these cams. And these cams are in very, very good shape. When you look at all these lobes, you can still see, hopefully you can see that in the camera, the original cross hatching on all of these lobes. Okay, timing chain guide time. Let's go ahead and analyze the big ones first. These are the ones that are kind of the idlers. These don't really ever take much wear, and that is certainly the case with this one. As you can see, you can kind of see where the chain has been running, but no pitting whatsoever. The tensioning guide for bank 1, basically same thing. Very, very minimal wear. There's always a little bit of wear right up at the top at this like larger radius point here. And yeah, you can see that that has happened with this, but I mean, this is nothing. Same goes for bank 2. It's not even really worth looking at that idler guide because it has no wear. This tensioning guide, same thing as bank 1. Basically, you can see where the chain's been running. And at the very, very top, you can see some kind of deeper score marks, but honestly, you can hardly even call it that. So those timing chain guides look very, very good. Now, let's go ahead and pull out the VarioCam solenoids so that we can take a peek at the VarioCam pads. If there's going to be carnage, it's going to be on those. So to do that, this is a 1999 model year vehicle, of course, so therefore special tool 9631 is required. This is the right-hand threaded direction tool to compress the VarioCam solenoid in order to remove it from between the two cams and the chain. From 2000 model year and on, it was a left-hand threaded tool. That's special tool 9632. And just shameless plug, I do sell both of those tools, 9631 and 9632, over on my website, funheadtv.com. I also sell them over on eBay as well. My username there is Traso58, so keep an eye out. That's how you know it's me. But also I have my water-cooled restoration logo as my little eBay store emblem. So anyway, a little bit of a shameless plug there, but if you need one of these, hit me up. As you can see, we've got the cams and the VarioCam solenoids and the chain that goes between them, all separated, which means we can have a clear vision at what the VarioCam pads look like. Now, if you recall, / if you've watched one of my videos before on these, you'll know that on every set of VarioCam pads, there is one lubricated one and one non-lubricated one. And for whatever reason, the lubricated one always is more beat up. Always. So, therefore, we're going to start with the non-lubricated one first. Okay. You can see that it's got some pitting and definite score marks running down it. I would say that's, I don't know, about 1 millimeter deep on either side. There we go. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. So yeah, this one is supposed to be the better looking one, and it's not that great. The one that took the major part of the hit is this one right here. And yeah, so it has much deeper gouges into it, as you can see. Very, very good that we're replacing these because, yeah, think about all that material that's somewhere in the engine as a result of this thing just kind of getting chunked apart. So just for reference, should look like this, looks like this. Should look like this, looks like this. Let's take a look at what Bank 2's VarioCam pads look like. So in this case, the bottom one is the one that's the non-lubricated one, so let's look at that one first. Hey, this one actually looks pretty solid. I mean, it's got a little bit of pitting in it, but I mean, there's no, serious score marks to speak of. This thing actually looks pretty dang solid. Let's look at the lubricated side. Oh, yeah. Look at all that scoring. Nice. Yep, so we definitely have some pretty serious, troughs dug into this one. So our lubricated pad from Bank 1 VarioCam solenoid is definitely our winner. That being said, even though these don't look great and they look kind of alarming at first glance, I've definitely seen much worse. And we're replacing them. That's exactly why we're doing this entire job. Oh, and last thing that I wanted to go ahead and mention are the lifters. These are hydraulic lifters, and basically they have movement inside of them that can take up the slack between the camshaft and the valve. So that's a great feature because you don't have to adjust them periodically, but these do fail. They do have little seals inside of them that can go bad. So how are they looking? Well, fortunately, these were all in fine shape. I always check them as I take them back into the workbench area. You check them by just feeling this inner part, and if it collapses really easily, well, then you know it's not holding any more oil. However, these all feel very, very good. That being said, we are replacing them. They're great while you're in there, because why not? We literally have full access to them. And believe you me, no yeah, they do fail. I think that was everything that I wanted to talk about. Was there anything else? Anything else? Nope. On the note of our lifters, however, we do have all 24 brand new lifters soaking in oil.
And at the end of the day,
it's not a bad idea to just soak them in oil, kind of let them soak up a little bit more if they possibly can. Well, kids, it's like the band Disturbed once said, ooh ah. Ooh ah. We accomplished a lot in this video. As you can see, we have this thing completely torn down as far as we're gonna take it. Both cylinder heads completely disassembled, all the parts sitting on the back. And I did off camera just now go ahead and remove the sump. Well, I got some B-roll of it, so I'm probably showing that right about now. Of course, we do the sump just for a preventative measure and just kind of a thoroughness measure because we want to be able to clean out any remaining timing chain guide bits that could be in the sump. And what do you know? We did find some down in that sump, just a few tiny little bits. Fortunately, there was nothing on the oil pickup screen, but it's never a bad idea to just pull that sump down and check. It's a relatively quick and easy procedure, and it's worth the hour-ish that it takes to pull all that down, clean it all really thoroughly, and put it all back together. So given that that's done, and given that these cylinder heads are completely taken down, we're just past that halfway point, people. Which means in the next episode, we're gonna go ahead and start putting this thing back together. We'll get it back up in that car, and then we'll take her for the very first rip since doing all of this stuff to the engine. So, thank you again so much for being here today. I hope you found this somewhat informative. If you did, please hit that like button. And please subscribe if you want to see even more stuff like this coming down the pipeline to you via Funhead TV every single week. And hey, if your Porsche needs some work, hit me up. Watercooled Restoration is the name of my company. info@watercooledrestoration.com is who you can email to inquire about pricing and scheduling. Thank you again so much for being here today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Yes, you, looking right at you. And I will see you all in next week's video. Later.
Pull back. Drop in and just smack the lip.
We're real happy with what was going on, and at the end of the day,